All right, everybody. Thanks for clicking on the video. But now stay tuned to figure out how we ended up with all of this, because that's what we're going to be covering. Yeah, if you're ready for the ride, here we go. Let's show you how we ended up with this. All right, guys, another weekend in the garage, and this is what we're working on today. So, got some rust here. I mean, it's kind of surface rust, kind of not, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure northern folks would say no big deal. This truck did spend a little bit of its life up north. So they may say no big deal, that's just some surface stuff. I just am not super comfortable with it. And I'm gonna tell you where the straw that broke the camel's back was on this thing. Is if I come down here, you see how I got nuts on the top of those shock bolts? Well, that's because I put those bolts in and then drove the truck around a little bit, and they popped right back out because the threads in that lower control arm are so, like both sides popped out, so the shock was just like hanging down. So I had to put those nuts on top of the bolts there to hold it in. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, I got the lower control arms. I could get those from like Rock Auto, a couple different places you can get those. Even like your local Napa and O'Reilly's and stuff have them somewhat. You might have to mix and match there, but where I ended up getting the upper ones from is eBay. It's the only place I could find them, other than there was one or two other like weird websites, but basically eBay had the upper ones. So that's where I got those, and then I got ball joints, upper and lower. These just look crusty. I'm not sure I could get those bolts off and reuse those things. Not that they're loose. I mean, it's only a 55,000 mile truck, but everything's tight. I'd feel better if I replaced them, because I mean, they're like 50 bucks a piece. So, you know, math, it adds up, but just feel better with my son driving it with that. So here's what we got. So these came from O'Reilly's. Those were pretty easy to get, like next day at my particular O'Reilly's, because they have them in the area, just not down the street from me. These were Rock Auto. They have a couple different brands, I guess, but anyway, they had those, so I could do that. And then these uppers, which trying to find uppers for a two-wheel drive is the problem. You got a four-wheel drive 86 Toyota, bunch of options all over the place. I mean, even kits, lift kits, all kind of crap. But you want a two-wheel drive, you're struggling to find those upper ones for this year. You can find the next gen, so like the 80, what is it, 87, 88, whenever they went to the next gen. Those you can find too, but this gen, for the 86s, two-wheel drive, struggled, found them on eBay. They're made in China, but what can you do? I think these are too now, because Toyota just, I guess, doesn't make them anymore. But there's all the parts, so that's what we got to put on. Now, before we can get these put on, we got to take the old stuff off, right? So we're going to go ahead and get to work on that. Step one is going to be the torsion bars. So let me get to work on those. All right, guys, we're about to crawl into the truck, but we got a little Mecum, Kansas City on right now. Looks like they got a pretty cool Mustang there, 65 fastback's what they're saying. So, you know, watching that as we're working on another car. But we're gonna go underneath the passenger side here and take you to where these torsion bars are, because these two-wheel drive trucks, maybe the four-wheel drive do too, I don't know, have torsion bar suspension. So that's that bar right there that goes from here all the way up there and connects to that lower control arm. Move over here. There, you can see where it connects in, and that's where you get your spring. There's no spring, it's a torsion bar. So we got to get that out. As you can see, you see that tall nut right there? That's how it gets held in there. You can also adjust it by twisting that too, to kind of adjust the height of the front. But that's not what we're doing. We're gonna have to take it all the way out, so we relieve all the pressure on that lower control arm, and that way we'll be able to work on it. Up under there is the nut that we have to turn, and then I think we have to hold that or you know, the bolts on the bottom, nut up there. But that's what we got to do, and basically just back that whole thing out. So we're gonna get the old wrenches out here, probably eventually get the old Ugga Dugga and back that whole thing out of there. I'm gonna see how tight it is with like a breaker bar or something first, and then we'll go from there. But that's step one here, is to do this, get the all the energy out of the torsion bar by just undoing that completely so it can twist down and do what it needs to do. You know, and I'll probably mark some stuff. I don't know. We'll figure out what we're going to do there. But basically, we got to get all the energy out of the suspension so that we can start working on the suspension without it like trying to kill us. So I'm going to get to work on that, see if I can bust that loose, find my Canon WD-40 and whatnot. I mean, things don't look super rusty back here, so hopefully that'll come out all right. I don't know. Pray for me a little bit, and maybe it'll work. All right, folks, just gonna give a little quick check-in. So these bolts, at least on my truck, are 22 millimeter. So I got my 22 millimeter wrench up there. That side turned, you know, pretty easy. I put a breaker bar on this bolt down here, which is also a 22, and that turned pretty easy as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick the old impact on here with the 22 mil and see if I can get that out. At least get it most of the way out, because I think I'm gonna kind of bottom out because my truck's not high enough in here. But anyway, let's go. All right, so here's what I've done. Is just, you know, there are two nuts on top of there that like act as a lock against each other, but I was able to back this thing out with the impact. So I've got it now to where there's no tension on it. I didn't take it all the way out, but I backed it out enough that there's no tension on it. So now I can go work on the front end of this thing, because that's all I need to do is take the energy out of it. I think. So now I'm going to transition to the front and see if I can start working on the control arm down there, and go from there. What I might do even is switch over to not go straight for the bottom. What I might do is go to the top. I'll take the shock out, because I can just get that out of the way, because that's got some energy in it too. But I'll take the shock out, then go for the top. See if I can get the top out, get it swapped. Then I'll go for the bottom. That way, you know, the top control arm is still holding on to the knuckle and everything here. And you know, maybe with you know, using the jack or something, I can hold that up out of the way. I don't know. I think what I might do though is go for the shock and then try to do the top control arm first, because that can only sag down so far and all. So that's what I'm gonna do, is shock, top arm, then bottom arm. So here we go. Let me get the stuff I need to get to the shock and get it out. All right, so there we go. Shock's out. Just that one bolt up on the top, and then the two that were down there on the bottom. That's all that holds that in. So we got that out, sitting right there. That's our new shock that if you watched any previous videos, you might have seen us putting those in. Fighting some rust on those to start with to get the old ones out. And then, like I said, I didn't know I had a problem down in the bottom per se until now. But you can see how those things are pretty goobered up. So now what I got to do to get this top control arm out is get the hood up and go at it from the inside, I think. Let me get my light out, but there's two bolts right there. I'm gonna look at it from the inside though, because I think those nuts are, I think, welded to the part that stays on the truck. And I don't know. Let me look at the new ones, get the hood up. But basically it's two bolts. Should be what gets it off of the back side there. And then I've got the nut under here for the ball joint. So let me get the hood up and all that and figure out my game plan. So we got the hood up here, and you can see right down in there, there's the two bolts kind of in the middle of the screen there. One right there below that corrugated I don't know, wire harness sleeve there, and the other one is right back there in the middle of the screen. So that's where they are. And then over here on this side, you got the same thing. Those are actually easier to see because of the nothing in the way. But that's what you got. And they put some shims in. There's a couple in the front of that one. This one over here, it's harder to see, but there are some shims down there. It wants to focus on all these hoses and stuff. But anyway, that's the inside. So let me figure out how I'm gonna get these things out. Again, checking back in with you. This right here is cost me, I don't know, 2 hours at least. I have been trying to get that bolt off, which goes to this ball joint right here. And you can see there's still a little bit of nut left there, but hopefully now there's no, well, I can tell you, there's no cotter pin. So maybe I can get that off. Maybe I just made my life worse. I don't know. As you can tell from my breathing too, I could not get the cotter pin out of this thing. No matter what I did, I couldn't do it. This thing is still hot, but so the cotter pin's right there. I had straightened that out, broke some of the stuff off, pounded on it, trying to get it to move, WD-40'd it like crazy. They pulled this in all the way into that hole like that. And I tried to get stuff in there and pull it out. I bent a pickup, I couldn't get anything else in there. Tried needle nose pliers, but they wouldn't go either. So basically I just cut that. So now the cotter pin is not my problem. So we'll have to see what the next step is after I catch my breath here. But the reason I'm breathing heavy too is I had a jigsaw but no blade that worked. So I just cut that off with that. So let's just say I'm not gonna have to go to the gym and do arm day today or tomorrow. Shoulders are burning, triceps. So anyhow, but let me see if I can get this the rest of the way off. As you can see, I took the brake rotor off too, hung it over there, got it out of the way, try to get some more access. You know, moving some of the brake lines and stuff out of the way. Yeah, this truck is fighting me everywhere. But all right, let me see if I can make any more progress tonight. All right, boys and girls. So yeah, we got that done. I had to take the saw apart, put it in from the other, like use the blade, put it in from the other side, saw the rest of that nut off because there wasn't enough nut to grab a hold to. I don't know, it fell down here somewhere. So I basically had to cut that thing off flat on the bottom. And then yeah, use this setup here, and I won this battle. So now what I'm gonna do is go back into the hood and undo those two bolts under there that hold this whole thing in on that side. And then I should be able to get this freaking thing out of here. So yeah, this has been a battle. Now the bottom is gonna be a battle too. Because I can't even straighten out that cotter pin right there with stuff in the way and all, but you know, everything you take off gives you a little more access. So maybe we'll win, because you know there's rust down there and everything too. So I don't know. We'll battle. That's all we can do. Just keep battling until we get this stuff apart, and we can replace what we need to. Yeah, I mean the knuckles got a little bit of surface rust on it, but that's really thick metal, and that's fine. These control arms were another story. Once I get it all the way out, you'll see the bottom too. It's just a mess. I can't even get those two bolts out. They rounded off on the bottom, which is why it's a good thing I got new ball joints. On top of the fact I just absolutely destroyed and decimated this one to get it out. But I guess that's what you got to do sometimes. So let me get this out, get it on the floor, and then I'm going to call it a night. Oh boy. All right, so that is out. Finally. That was a pain in the butt. There's not a whole lot of room up under here to get this out. You got this rubber thing, but that's not your problem. It's the metal fender, and then specifically right here, you can see there's this little bump out. So that constricts it, so it's hard to get that out with these pieces on the sides out there. Golly, I was wrestling, twisting, turning, doing all kind of stuff. I also had to take out those bolts there so that canister could rise up, because that canister was in the way. So that was just 2 10 mils. I tell you, this has just been a fight. This whole thing has been a little bit harder than I thought. I still got to deal with that wrench that I got stuck on the torsion bar back there. This rust and all this crap. I mean, the going back together should be way easier, but golly. Anyway, I'm gonna call it quits for the night, get some sleep, get back up bright and early, and start tackling the bottom side of this thing. I think at this point I might just do go ahead and try to get this bottom ball joint off, get this whole friggin' spindle out of the way. Once I do that, then I can go after the rest of that lower control arm, which, as you can see, has a couple, 3, 4 things on it. You know, let's see, whatever that bar is right there. Then you got your tie rod here that's doing its deal. That connects back here. So there's a lot of stuff. But what I'm going to try to do is get that lower knuckle out, or ball joint out, if I can do that. But I have a feeling I might have to take other stuff out too. We'll see. But that's something to do for tomorrow. So calling her tonight. All right, back with you folks next morning. Breakfast, whatnot, all that done. Now, what we got to do is work on getting this lower ball joint out. I mean, ultimately we're getting the whole control arm out, but as you can see, we got this sway bar link that goes in. We've got our tie rod in, that connects to the knuckle. As you can see right here, I need to get that cotter pin out, but I can't even, well, I'm gonna struggle to fold it straight. So I'm gonna see if maybe I can do that. Like, there's a little bit of room underneath-ish. Maybe I can get it straight, I don't know. But then, like I said before, there's not much to grab on this side because they ran it like all the way down into the slot, and then it rusts itself in there. So that's not ideal. So yeah, we're gonna figure out what we can do. I think what I might have to do is undo these, this bolt here and that bolt there in the middle, and get the, you know, the steering. I don't want to do that because that's rusty, and I don't know, but I might have to just to be able to get something done. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to start off with trying to get the cotter pin out. That'll probably fail just like it did on the top because it's rusted in, but we'll try. If I'm not having any luck, then I might have to take that steering piece off, move it out of the way, and then go from there. So here we go. All right, another update. Here's the issue. So those 2 bolts on the back I was showing you, saying I wanted to get off to disconnect the tie rod so I could have better access to that cotter pin on the ball joint. Well, that complicated things. The bolts that I wanted to get out have nuts on the back of them, which are behind the rotor. So the only way you can get those 2 bolts out is to get the rotor off, which means you got to pull this cap off, which means you got to pull all the bearings and all that stuff out, because that's the way this is. I thought they did a brake job on it. This is confirmation of that. So anyway, I got this cap off of here. I already took the bracket off. That's just 2 bolts, and then I I got to get this cotter pin out, which thank God is not rusted in because it's brand new. Then I'll get that little castle nut thing off of there and all that, and hopefully be able to pull this apart, get something on the back of the other bolts. But unfortunately, they look like they have cotter pins in them too. These cotter pins are just the absolute devil. They're all rusted in after 50 years of freaking rust or whatever, 40 years. They don't come out. They didn't leave like this one. See how it's got this nice hole right here where you can stick something in there and actually yank the thing out? Unfortunately, when Toyota put this truck together, they ran those all in. So far, there's nothing left to grab. There's no hole. Like, why? Anyway, I'm gonna keep going, get the rotor off, and then reattack these things. But I think there's cotter pins. All right, folks, back with you. So we got that castle nut off. It's a 30 mil on the main bolt there for the axle, I guess, whatever you want, spindle. So that all came off in one chunk. Unfortunately though, and fortunately, looks like that one's supposed to have a cotter pin in it, but I don't see one. So that's the best news I've had all weekend. This one though does have a cotter pin, and like every other one, it's pulled all the way down in there so you can get nothing on the back side of it. Not a freaking thing on the planet. These cotter pins have just decimated my entire weekend. This should have been a weekend project in my mind, but cotter pins, I mean, everything comes off fine. Just these freaking cotter pins. All right, it's been probably a half an hour. I started looking at that thing some more over here, and decided, like, I can't booger that up at all. And there's really no good way to get to that. I even thought like drilling it out might be an option, but anyhow, I don't want to booger all that up, screw that up. I mean, I can always go get another bolt, I guess, but I decided I would flip back over to this, and I've been working on it, trying to get going, get something done. As you can see, I lost part of my pliers there. The tip came off, but I pounded that in there. I started with a screwdriver, made a little bit of a, the flathead screwdriver, and tried to like push the pin to one side in the groove there, did that, then pounded this in, got it going, broke it off. Then I said, well, I've already broke these Ace Hardware needle nose pliers, so I went ahead and started working on the other side. Got it in there a little further, just wiggled here and there. Worked on this side, trying to like use a screwdriver to push this down and stuff. And anyway, after just working and whittling and breaking tools and whatnot, I've gotten it to this point. It ain't out yet, but at least now I have something I can grab a hold to and try to get this thing out. So wish me luck. Let me see if I can get it out. All right, folks, success. Luckily I got that one out. Man, I mean, even when I had it out, I had a screwdriver in it, I was prying on it. It just did not want to come. But finally got it out. So anyway, on to the next step. God, I hate cotter pins with a passion. All right, folks, that's off. It's a 22, by the way, but my impact socket would not fit because it's so tight in there. So I had to use a regular socket, sue me. But that, with a swivel on the gun, managed to get it off. I mean, it took it a couple whacks there on the impact to get it to come off, but that is off now. So now I can work on trying to bust that ball joint loose with my hammer and chisel thing. Yeah, this has just been struggle bus the whole time. But anyway, we got that done. Now let me see if I can get the spindle separated from the ball joint. All right, folks, some more of this manual labor here, but we got it loose. See? So I'm gonna go ahead and get this spindle all the way off. That should be able to flip it back over towards the front of the truck. It'll still be connected to the tie rod end. That'll pretty much be everything that's holding it. I'll probably get one of my other brake hooks like I got here and see what I can do, where I can hook it to get it up out of the way, because clearly I can't get these bolts off the back of this spindle. Removing the brake rotor and stuff took a lot of weight off of it, so that's good. But let me go ahead and get this separated, find maybe a hook something somewhere, see what we can do. Thought I would clean up a little bit here since I'm gonna have to start rolling underneath to get at stuff. So yeah, that's how much rust has flaked off of these control arms. Maybe a couple pieces off of a few things, but mostly the control arms this whole time. So, I mean, that's a decent sized pile. So we're gonna get that in the trash can. All right, gang, so next I'm gonna go after these 2 bolts right there that hold on. You see that's a 17 socket on there. But I'm gonna go after those 2 bolts because they kind of get in the way of trying to get to the sway bar bolt down there underneath on the bottom. That's further back up under there. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go after next. Then the sway bar bolt probably, and then we'll finally get to working on the torsion bar, which I think I may have to finally deal with my my wrench that's stuck back there. I can go over that in a minute, but I think I'm gonna have to do that in order to be able to get this whole lower arm off. I was hoping not, I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go. All right, gang. So like I said, that's a double nut on top of that. I already got the first one off. There it is. Yes, I'm working in flip-flops. So that's a 12 up there, both of those nuts. They came off fairly easy. I got this down here, that's another 12 from the bottom end too, just so I can hold that tight while I get the other end off. So that's that. We'll go ahead and do that. I also got these 2 bolts out down here. Those were 17s. Got at them with the impact, and just so you understand how rusty this stuff is, let me come back over here to this side. So anyway, here's this thing. It's not really captured nuts per se. I thought it was, and they are captured onto that, but that whole piece comes up. So anyway, we're gonna need that again, I think, because all there are holes in the other one, or maybe there's, I don't know. Oh look, maybe the new one has captured nuts, and that's what I was thinking, that this was gonna be the same way, but this is separate. So we'll see if we need it or not, but that's that. So that's off. Working on getting this off, and then move on to these bolts back here. So just chopping away. All right, so this bolt right here is what came out of that hole right there. So nuts on the other side. It actually came out pretty good, and then I think there's a sleeve inside of there. So this thing has basically been sealed off for 40 years. And you can see that everything that wasn't exposed is actually pretty good shape, but everything that was exposed to the elements is, yeah, I guess maybe that was the top, so some water sneaked in. But yeah, that's out. So just took the nut off, and then I just use a screwdriver to like pound on the end of it. It does have like a little indentation in there, maybe, yeah, somewhat. But anyhow, got it to come out. So now moving on to the next one, which let's see, it's over here. Yep, that one right there in the middle of the screen. That's gonna be my next one. I just gotta find it on this side, or under here. Yep, there it is. That's the other side of it. So anyhow, we'll get to work on that one. That's next. All right, so there's the nut from the next one. That came off pretty easy. No big deal there. The issue though is, if you work with me here on my lighting situation. I swear to Christmas. So anyway, the issue there is that hits and I can't get it out. So it's undone, but I can't get it out of the hole. So yeah, like I said, everything is just a pain. Why? Just why? So anyhow, next I'm going after this big one right here, but I think I'm also gonna have to, like I said, deal with getting the torsion bar out. I pulled this off. Sorry, my lighting is just killing me. So that's off. You just have to pull that little boot off, and now you can see where the torsion bar goes in. It doesn't have any torsion on it right now, but I think it has to come out in order to get that back thing off. I'm not 1,000% sure. We'll figure this out as we go. All right, folks, that is off. That is a 27 millimeter. It took some pretty good oomph out of this sucker here to get it to bust loose and come off, but it did. Nut's still in the socket. We'll work on that. So now the issue is, like I said, I think I'm back to my other problem, which is I have this wrench over here that is stuck. It's up there, and I think I have to get the torsion bar out of the way in order to be able to you know, get that bolt out. So anyway, we're gonna work on it, see what we can get done. All right, guys, this is where we're at. The wrench is stuck on the lower nut. The two nuts, I don't know, they welded themselves together or whatever, because when I was backing the thing out, the wrench slipped down to the bottom nut and it slammed itself into that top nut. And I've tried double wrench things. I've tried the impact going different directions. I'm about rounded that bolt completely off. So this is what we're doing. Just gonna cut it off and get a new bolt because I'm just done. Anyway, we'll come back at you, and who the heck knows how long it'll take me to get through this bolt. All right, I got the Bucks game on in the background. It's raining there. That's what's happening around our house since we're in Tampa. But there's that handsaw. Oh boy. So that's out now. So now I can work on trying to get the torsion bar all the way out. So that's the next step. Okay, anyway, might have to go find whatever bolt that is and get a new one. So like I said, those are the two nuts that, I don't know, maybe they welded themselves together or whatever, but they slammed together when I was running the impact and everything, and I could not get them to separate again. But the good news is I got my wrench back off. So we'll see what's going on. So there's a Bucks game. That's unfortunately the Saints just scored a touchdown on a Mayfield interception, but maybe they'll be able to get something done. So let me get back at it. All right, gang. So in order to get this all the way off, you've got to take this little, I don't know, it captures it somehow, but basically there's two 12 millimeter bolts up top. That wrench is on one right now, already came loose, and then the other one's right there in the middle of your screen. So I think once I take those off, then that'll be able to drop this piece down, and then I'll be able to slide it out of that end, because it already moved once. So I think we'll be all right. So let me get these two bolts out, get this little belt housing looking thing out, and then I think we'll be all right. All right, folks, that's out. So you can see the little belt housing thing right there in the middle of the screen. There's the rest of it. So that end in the back comes off, and then at least that's the way I had to do it, to just get it to unbind. But I just tapped the back piece off, which you can see where that comes apart right here. That's got teeth in it just like the front, but basically that comes off. There's grease and stuff in there. But you take that back chunk off, and then the bar came out. So The bar itself is greased up nice and all, was not rusty or anything, so that's all good. But now that takes me to where I can start working on this, which I think I got to get myself back up under there, but I think now I can knock the bolt out that's in there or something. I don't know, but it's in that hole right there that I got to get it out. So that's what we're going to do. All right, guys, I got that bar right there loose, which is over here. It's 27 millimeters, the same as the big bolt on the, you know, right there on the control arm. You know, same as that bolt right there. So now, as you can see, this is loose, but I gotta get that bolt out. So that's the last task, to get this thing off. Then I can address how I'm gonna get this off, because I haven't been able to get this stuff to move and come off, and I don't know. We'll figure that part out once I can get this whole thing out. But now, I think I just have to drive that out. Not 1000% sure, but I don't see any other reason how that works. And then over here, put some WD-40 on that. There's no like bolt head or anything in there that you can grab hold of. So I think you just have to drive it out. That's all I can think. So I'm gonna hit it a few times with the nut on there so I don't mess up the threads, and see what we get. All right, guys, here we are. So yeah, beat the shit out of it with a hammer. Hit it hard. And then this stuff here will start to come out. Where am I at? There we are. There you go. So we're this thing's about to fall out. So there you go. Man, this has been a battle, and I'm not gonna count my chickens until I get this thing on the floor, but just want to show you that's all you do is put the nut on that side on the right over there. I mean, wham it a few good times, get it to start moving. Once it does, then, you know, it kind of goes easy once you break it loose. So just got to get that rust to give up first. Anyway, I want to go ahead and get this off, get this whole lower control arm off of here, and then I don't know, if I had some beer here I would have a victory beer, but I don't. So anyway, let me get this off. All right, so update if you're wondering, when I'm doing this work is here, fourth quarter, you know, I don't know, maybe Mayfield will pull this one out. We'll see. Got a couple minutes left to try to figure it out. So here's this rusty thing. Got it out. I mean, it looks really rusty, but that said, it's still solid. So I'm sure the Northerners would have left this alone and said this is standard. But I don't know. I just wanted to change it, especially since my son's going to be driving it. Now, two things have to happen. So right there are two bolts that go to that little tray right there, which is where this thing was, which is the bump stop. So I'm going to clean that off the best I can, and I'm going to glue this sucker back on there, because as you can see, it just sits in here, and then gravity's helping it stay there, and if it gets pushed on, it gets pushed into this. So I'll just get some kind of, or you know, Mansory glue per Matt Armstrong, and anyway, we'll get this back on there. So that's what that is, but I do need to get the tray off, which is those two bolts. So we'll see if they're going to cooperate with me or not. And then that is the bottom side of this sway bar link, which I got to figure out how to get that all the way off, because up to this point it has, I kind of didn't really fight it too hard, but I mean, the nut's off. I've already got part of the bushings and stuff are over there. I just got to get the thing the rest of the way down, but when I spin the nut from the bottom, all of this spins. when I was beating on this, trying to get it to go down, it wouldn't. So now I got it here on the bench. We'll see what happens. But those are the two things that I've got to get off of this, and then it can go to the trash can, and we can put this nice new one on. I think I may go get a shower, run myself to the store. Clearly I gotta buy that bolt again anyway. I may just pick up a can of black spray paint, see if I can like wire brush this a little bit, and just hit it with the can real quick and easy. Kind of seal it up a little bit, and then also make it not look so bad next to this piece here that's going to go onto. But that's where we're at now. But tell you what, this was a fight. I really hope going back together is a lot faster. For those of you wondering, no, I am not changing that bushing down in there. There's a bushing in there. I'm not changing it. This is a 55,000 mile truck. I realize it's old, but again, I wasn't doing this because of sloppy suspension. I was doing this because of the rust. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me get to work on trying to get these last two pieces off, and then shower and go to the store and buy some bolts and spray paint. Okay, well, rust struck again, so I don't know, I'm gonna check and see if I can find one of these. But that just snapped off. That one came off okay. As you can tell though, it's pretty rusty, but it would have worked. But being that the rubber already came off, this thing is kind of a rusty piece. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it would still theoretically work, because that's enough of a stud there to like catch the hole that it goes in, so it wouldn't twist. I could put that on, and then stick the rubber back on. So I don't know, but I'll see if I can find a bump stop. If not, then yeah. Anyway, on to this. All right, everybody, we're back at it again. I was trying to use this fork here and pound the crap out of it, but and it worked on the top, so I got the top part on this side. It wasn't working really good on the bottom side, just kept pounding on it. It worked on the bottom on the other side, not this side, I don't know. So I picked this up at Harbor Freight, a different kind of ball joint tool. So we're gonna give this a whirl, see if this will get it to come out. All right, gang, quick update. This worked. This is, it's just a Pittsburgh one from Harbor Freight. Really pretty well built. I want to say it was $20, like out the door tax and all that stuff. So pretty nice. It has two adjustments here, so you can move this pin and open it up wider or smaller as you need to. I had to go for the wide side. Got it on there. Just went in from this direction. And then you just wrench on it. It's a 19 mil. Pretty good tool. Worked nice, a lot less pounding. When it let go, it finally let go. It's just rusty and stuff in there, but yeah, that worked. So now we can move on. I've got a decent amount of stuff like the sway bar link, all that kind of stuff loose over here. What's funny is that bumper was good and it wasn't really loose, but then when the ball joint let go, that popped off. So something about the shock of the ball joint coming through separates out all the rust and stuff, but it is what it is. I have not been able to find those bumpers, you know, the bump stops online. Maybe I can look harder another time, but I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and I'll spray paint, clean them off, spray paint them, stick the things back together like I was talking about before. But making good progress on this other side. So I'll go ahead and finish all this up and leave that out of the video. You don't need to see me do all this stuff again, but same process, just going a lot faster since I know exactly what I need to do next because of the first side. So I'll get this all apart and then we'll move to the assembly of new parts. All right, quick update. Taking this upper control arm off. I got the bolts out of back there. So it's completely disconnected. You can see the issue is this front piece, the front knuckle piece right there was hitting the drive shaft, and I couldn't get enough height to get it over the frame piece. So 2 bolts disconnected. I marked, you can see a little bit of red on the top one there, so that everything will go back into alignment. But it's just 2 bolts. Sorry for the lighting. And you know, it comes out. So that's easy. It just slides up, pivots out of the way a little bit. So that should give me the clearance. We'll see. Now I'll go wrestle that upper control arm, see if I can get it out. But just letting you know that I had to do that on this side. All right, folks, one more update. As I was working on the lower control arm over there on the driver's side, this is what it's supposed to look like. That basically goes on the, sorry, that's my new sway bar end links, but what is supposed to go over here through these holes right here, this piece sits, showed you that before. On this side, I screwed up, so don't do this. I took 1 bolt all the way out, and then I put the impact on the other bolt to back it out. And when I did that, it clearly spun this around. So loosen both bolts with the impact gun and get them out a little bit before you take either one of them all the way out, or else you may end up in this situation. So now we're gonna have to get, I don't know, a hammer or something. Well, I figured out, but I gotta turn that back into that. So anyway, life's harder when you screw it up. All right, guys, let you know, I got all the other stuff off on the passenger side. Everything's a struggle, but got it all apart. So now I can start with the assembly piece. So now we're gonna go back, we're gonna start with an upper control arm. These are the bolts here from the old one. Not changing those out. You know, put some WD-40 on them when I put them back in and all that, but those are fine. And that's, I just stuck them in there as I pulled them out. That way I knew where they went. Now we've got our new ball joint here. Showed you that before. So we're gonna go ahead and get this put in. You see it's all set. That is for the grease fitting. This actually goes underneath and points down like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that bolted in and get the grease fitting in. And I can't remember if I got grease or not. I think I do. Anyway, we'll get this set up, get this put together, and then we'll work on trying to get it put in the truck. All right, guys, that's put together. I didn't get to watch it this weekend, so I'm watching the Abu Dhabi here. I don't even know who won the championship or anything because I didn't look, but this went together pretty easy. You know, 13mm bolts, that's an 8. And now I'm gonna go stick it on the truck over here, start trying to rebuild this passenger side. All right, guys, we were able to wiggle this one in. What you gotta do is push this side in first because you have way more clearance on this side. So push that in, twist this part forward, and then get the bar over, drop it down, and then you can twist it back this way. So, you know, you just gotta fiddle with it, but it will go. So that's in, so now I get my bolts and work on getting this bolted back in. Yeah, right now it's just sitting on the bump stops, but yeah, that's back in. So one new piece back on the truck, making progress now. All right, guys, got this back in, tightened everything up underneath the hood there with those 2 bolts. And then we got this going on. That's on. It's just finger tight at this point. I'm not going to cinch down on the ball joint thing until I get to all the other stuff in, and then we'll tighten everything up at the end. But so that's in now. I need to move on to the lower control arm. So I'll get to work on that and see if we can get that in place, start some bolts that we need and things, and get this built back up. All right, guys, welcome to the paint booth. All I did was I sprayed these down with a little WD-40, wire brushed the suckers, rinsed them off with water, degreased them with some spray-on degreaser, rinsed them off again, dried them off with my blower, which, you know, just used my blower, and then I got not a torch, but like a lighter, stick lighter thing, and ran that over the surfaces as well just to help dry out the last little bit. getting them hot. So there you go. It's not perfect. I just did one kind of thick coat. I'm not that obsessed with it. It's not like it's a final paint. I just wanted to cover up the rust, maybe stop the rust from getting too bad in the future, but also so it was a black part next to a black part, and also when you look under there, it won't be like, oh my God, that's a rusty piece you didn't replace. But anyway, I did that, so we're gonna let that dry for just a little bit, and then we'll be able to build up that lower control arm. All right, folks, if you didn't know, Lando Norris won the F1 championship this year. Came in third in the race, but it was enough points. He won by 2 points. So anyway, back to this. This is a lower control arm. Since I've got the two uppers on, I went ahead and start building this up. So that goes on from the bottom. So just the 3 bolts. Same on this, came with the grease fitting. So that goes in there. So there you go. You can see how that goes. The last one had those like plastic, I guess, locking nuts. These actually have lock washers. I don't know why, but they do. As far as on this, I went and bought from O'Reilly's these new sway bar end links, because the old ones won't come off, because if you see right there is a metal sleeve. We'll see when we put it all together, but that sleeve, I'm pretty sure rusted onto the bolt on the old one. Like, I could not get them off, but those are only 20 bucks, so we're getting new ones, so those will look new too. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and work on trying to get this back in. You'll note the bump stop goes there. They came apart. I only have one bolt that actually fits right here. And then I would have to glue those things back on. And then on the other control arm, both bolts broke. So what I'm gonna do right now is leave those off, because I'm not gonna use them. They're rusty, I don't know. So we'll leave those off, and I'll try to find some. I looked for like 30 minutes the other day, and they didn't like pop out as readily available, but somebody's gotta have freaking things. So anyway, let's get this lower control arm back in. These are side specific. The uppers aren't, these are, because this right here is actually your steering bump stop kind of thing. So there's a bolt you can adjust, and it hits here, and that stops your steering from going all, in this case, when you turn left, it hits. The other side has one. As you can see, they're kind of mirror images of each other. This one has one here, so that way, when you, this being the passenger side, when you turn all the way left, that knuckle has a, or the steering knuckle thing, whatever, has a bolt in it, it hits. Over here, it's the other way around, because, obviously this is this way, so these things go towards the front of the truck. Same when the wheel turns all the way to the right, it'll hit this one. So those are specific. Make sure you don't dork that up, because otherwise they seem to be exactly the same, except for this little piece of metal right there. So let me see what we can do about getting this thing on. All right, folks, when you're ready to put this back in, here's the deal. Put this bolt in, because remember, that does not come, it hits the frame part back here, so it won't come all the way out once you get this in. So put that in. I just threw the nut on it so it would stay in there. And then now, now that this is in most of the way, I can take this nut off. Then I can turn this up and align it like I need to, and get it the rest of the way back in there, so that it'll line all the way up. All right, guys, I had to pull this lower control arm back off. Issue I was having was I could get this backside lined up, get the bolt in, get it through, but then I couldn't line up this side, which is the front side. And I wiggled around, did a ton of stuff. I even took the ball joint back off so I could swing it like all the way down and try to wiggle it around and stuff. The problem was I could never get this hole to line up while this hole was lined up. If I lined up this one wasn't right. If I lined up this one, then I couldn't get that one over there lined up. So What I realized after I'd messed around with it is in here was, I think that was hitting. So you can see it, it comes up right there. Well, that's also where there's part of the frame of the truck. This one hit a little bit over here. You can see just a little bit of nick, but not a whole lot. This one though, I felt like was hitting. I already tried to go after it a little bit, but I got to keep going at it some more. I'm gonna try to take it down. It shouldn't weaken anything. It's just I'm gonna take a little bit off right here so it doesn't hit, and then that should hopefully let this line up the way it's supposed to, and be able to get it on there. But that's how things are. I don't know. These made in China parts. Anyway, I got a little grinder wheel. I'm gonna put that on there. My Dremel got flooded, so I'm just gonna use my drill instead of buying a $100 Dremel. Anyway, let me get this fixed. Okay. If I had a GoPro set up and did a time lapse, this would be, I don't know, probably a good 30 minutes of wrestling. I had to grind on that thing. That was the problem. As soon as I ground down enough of it, over here on that other side, like I was showing you, I was able to get this going. All right, folks, the next thing I did was put on this bar right here. I still don't have the big nut back there tight, because when you tighten that down, it makes it hard to move this. I need to be able to wiggle it. It makes it hard to move this. So I need to be able, as you can see, to move it up and down some in order to get everything tight. But that's that. This is that piece I painted. Bolts go from the bottom up. I use an impact because those are long bolts. You know, I'll double check hand-wise to see, make sure they're tight. But anyway, that's done. I still haven't tightened this, that end up there. I have not tightened that yet. I will probably do that after I get the next thing, which is going to be the sway bar end link thing. But that's going to happen after I eat and take the dogs for a walk. So, all right, guys, here you go. So, underneath on the bottom is the first thing you put on the bolt is a piece of one of those metal washers. Then you put a rubber piece, shove it up through the hole. Then you put rubber, metal, sleeve, metal, rubber, metal washer, and then put the bolt on top. Now all we gotta do is tighten that up, and we can move on to the next thing. Back with you. I went ahead and threw the brakes and all back on. That wasn't really part of this job, so I didn't really film anything there. But I got the bottom ball joint is tight. The sway bar end link is tight. That bar that goes to the front there, whatever that is, that's tight. Everything is tight on that lower control arm except for that big nut in the back. Everything's tight on the top. The ball joints are tight. So, yeah. I think everything is hooked back up except for the shock and the torsion bar. So I can't do the shock until I do the torsion bar. So I think I need to do that next. So that's laying there. The one on the left goes on this side. That's the other side. All right, folks, when you get ready to put these torsion bars back in, if you're not paying attention, it looks like it doesn't matter which way they go, but it does. So if you see right here, this is a place where it's missing a tooth. Same thing on the other end. So you have to find the place inside of the socket where it's also missing a tooth. And then it slides in really easy. So don't pound on it and beat on it to try to get it in, because that means you don't have it lined up right. Because once you line that up, it slides in really easy. So find that on the socket end and on the male end here, and line that up. All right, guys, this is in. So like I said, you got to find the right line up, and it slides on super easy. You shouldn't have to force it. What I ended up having to do was put a jack under that and jack that up. So what that does is rotate this down. And so that gets it to a point where you can, where you're kind of lined up. You know, this bar is lined up with the frame. If that suspension's drooped down like all the way, you won't be able to get this in. So jack that up, do that. Get the bar all the way in, then pull down on the bar to get the clearance you need to slide this on. Slide that, and then let go, and it goes up in here like this. So now all you have to do is get the bolt, run this thing up, and put the shock on, and this side will be done. And then I just got to redo it all for the second side. But for you don't have to suffer through that unless there's something notable. All right, folks, this is what I ordered. That's the box, obviously made in China, but as you remember, I had to cut this one off because of those two nuts are basically welded together or something. I don't know. Could not break them loose. So I had to order this. I thought maybe I could just go find the bolt and some nuts from someplace, but that was not the case. So I ordered new ones. So let me go get this one in. So as the box says, made in China. This is the right bolt. I held it up to an old one. As you can see here, it's the same size and everything. So that part's good. I mean, yeah, it looks like it's made in China. So anyway, what I noted was, so these things, I mean, generally they're the right thing. And that one is got a hole that's pretty much in the middle. That one do not. So yeah. Anyway, what I also noted is on the old one, see how this has these little like nub things? So this is the one that was on the bottom. Like, so I'm gonna reuse this one because it has those little nub things, and I think that helps keep it from sliding left to right inside of there, and I'll show you when I get underneath. So I'm gonna use that. And then I'm gonna use this one that has a hole pretty much in the middle on the top side of this. And then I got my two nuts here. So that's how I'm gonna set it up. Let me get down there and show you. But I just wanted to kind of discuss that. All right, so here we go. This is set up. As you can see, I'm using the old one down here. And like I said, this is why I was saying that is because this has like a slit in it right here. And when you do that, when you use this one that came with it, it's got these little nubs that stick out, and that keeps this from sliding left and right. See? Can't come left or right. And that's not the bolt hitting, that's the little nubs on that thing. So I use that. And then that's set up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to snug this up a little bit. Got to hold the nut on the top, hit the bottom with the impact. I'm going to snug it up some. I'm not going to like really go to town on it because I should have measured or something, but I didn't. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll snug this up some. I'll go get the shock on. We'll call it good until we can get the tire on it, and I'll put it down on the ground, measure some height. And then once we've done that, you know, if we need to adjust it, we'll jack it back up and do that. But I'm just going to get it kind of set right now and then go put that shock on so I can call this side done. So there it is, done up. I went to about what I thought used to be sticking out of the top. Plus, I let the gun get a couple ugga-duggas on it. Nothing crazy, just a few turns. And then, yeah, we'll leave it at that point for right now. It's probably not that far off. And then we'll go from there. So I just stuck the second nut on. I know it's just like finger tight right now. That way it's there. But I'll get back under and tighten it a little more as a lock nut there when we get to that point. But for now, that's that. So on to the shock. All right, folks, shock is on. There you go. Bolts in. There's actually like nuts on this control arm. So they just bolt right in. Same thread as what was there before. And all set. I did forget one thing underneath. That's that little, whatever that thing is, that little kind of bell housing looking thing that goes around the torsion bar. So I'm gonna get down there and put that in, put the tire on, and that'll be it. Right, little bell housing thing is on. It's just the two, that one and that one. So that's your 2 bolts. Those are 12s. Anyway, that's on. We put the tire on and call it a night. All right, I did forget one last thing. I got to grease these dang things. So this is my grease gun I got. We use it for a boat trailer and stuff too. So actually this has marine grease in it right now, but I figure that ain't gonna hurt nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, then put the tire on. All right, folks, we're done. So this side is done. Tires back on, everything. Feeling tight there, so I think I got the wheel bearings adjusted right, got all the other stuff tight. So now I just got to do the other side, and then we'll put it on the ground and figure out if the ride height's correct or not, and we'll adjust from there. All right, so I didn't show you the driver's side, working on that because it's the same as the other side. But one of the significant issues I had was when I was putting everything back together, you can see I had to beat the crap out of this nut on the on one of the bolts down there, and you'll see where this goes. But it's the the big pin that goes through the lower control arm, and I beat on it so much that it protected the bolt, or the pin and everything and the threads on that, but it messed this thing up to where now you can't. It won't tighten because the threads are messed up. So even though I can start it on this side and run it in, it stops when the end of the bolt gets to the end of the nut, and that doesn't work. I looked and looked and looked, could not find this locally anywhere that I could grab it. I had to figure out what it was to start with because I don't have a gauge thing like to put it on that's that big. So I did some looking up, trying to figure out something. Anyway, so what it is it's an M18 with a 1.5 millimeter thread. So thanks to the old Bolt Depot, I got this. So you can see this is a class 10.9. They also had the class 8. So they had this available in a couple different compositions and strengths and stuff. So there you go. That's what I got. And now I'm gonna pull one of those out of the bag and see if that's actually what that is. Hopefully it is, and we'll be able to button up the driver's side. All right, folks, just give you an idea where we are. Here you go on the driver's side. This is the like the main pin that goes through the lower control arm. The other end of that pin is the torsion bar. So obviously big bolt, and it's important that it's tight. So let's see if this works. Trying to do it kind of left-handed, which is not my dominant hand, but all right, that is the perfect bolt. That's what it is. So there you go, Bolt Depot to the rescue. Now it is the inside's 18, but it's 27 millimeter socket is what you need. So let me see if I can get that on it. I think I've got the, yep. So 27 millimeter socket. We're gonna give this thing some, I got a swivel on it. I probably should have just went with an extension instead of the swivel. So we'll do that, but you get the idea. I'm gonna have to use 2 hands and all that anyway, but there you go. That fit perfect. Tighten down. You see the bolt sticking all the way through. The washer's not loose and all that. So there you go. Now I'll just I'll get both hands down here and I'll honk on this thing a little bit. Get it pretty tight. But that's we saved the day with Bolt Depot. All right, folks, here we are. Truck's back on the ground, and now it's time to do some adjustments on this thing. We got to get the ride height set. I'll tell you, when I first put it down, I didn't film. I wasn't thinking about it because I kind of panicked. I did not have enough preload on those things, and it just pretty much went all the way down. Kind of tuck and tire. It was so bad. So now I got under there and I adjusted everything. And so what I'm doing is just measuring here up to the fender. So right now I'm what, 28 and a quarter, smidge more on this side. I came back here and I wiggle the truck when I do it. I measure here, and here I'm sitting at about 29 and a half. So the front's a little bit lower than the back on that side. Come around over here, I'm gonna have to readjust on this one some more because this one, or maybe not, it tends to kind of work its way out better. Like, I'd say go back and forth a little bit because see, this one was lower before, so I think what it is they kind of help offset each other to a degree. But that's basically what you do. I got my 29 and a half in the back, 28 and a quarter on this side in the front. So I'm gonna wiggle the truck some, make sure that the front over the, I might have to readjust the driver's side just a little bit. But other than that, I think we're pretty much there. So I'll bring this up and down a couple more times. Let me tell you, if you had a lift, this is way easier because then you can just hit this thing with impact pretty easy. Crawling under here like I am is, it just takes a little longer. You can get it same work done, just takes longer. But that's what I'm gonna do. Get this thing set up. One more little kind of piddly but safety related item that we got to work on. You'll see that in the next video. And then, yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing this thing. I'll kind of hint at it. My son did not fall in love with it as much as he thought he would. So we're just going to see what we can do. But that's it. Old Beamer sitting right there. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Subscribe, comment, like, all those kind of things. Help us out. Really are trying to make this last push for about the last 70 subscribers to make it to 1,000. Just a goal we had set. So any help would appreciate. And you want to come back and see what we're doing next, right? So hit that button. See you next time.